Hello and welcome to our weekly leadership series. As I discussed in my previous video, that for me this year is growth leadership. So, in this continuation, today I'm going to talk about what are the key skills for future CEOs. Before starting anything regarding the skills, but the point that I want to make here is, and you should write it down somewhere, this decade is actually for CEOs. When we are talking about fourth industrial revolutions, when we are talking about startup cultures, when we are talking about AI, robots and everything, so we need people who can actually, conceive an idea, execute it, and eventually, convert that idea into a profitable, adventure, or you can say profitable endeavor. If you want to grow fast, if you want to, go to the top of the organization, which is actually the CEO, you need to see things from this lens. Traditionally, if we look back, say, 20 years back or maybe 15 years back, since you can say World War II till 2000, 2010, we were living in an industrialization era where you need to spend a lot of time, I would say a lot of years in an organization to reach to the top. But now, as organizations are disrupting, as organizations are trying lot of new products, services, features, so they need, those who can convert those ideas into profitable business. And if you or any one of you can do it for you or for your organization, you are the natural selection for the CEO position. And if you look at what is being happening in the market for last 30-40 years, initially we need engineers and we made lot of engineering degrees, so mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, electronics engineer, industrial engineer. And then we thought that we need somebody or someone who can actually lead them and run the department or organization. And then we made a factory, and I'm using the word factory of MBAs. So we started from the perspective of a vertical resource. That vertical resource was specialized in one area. So we have bankers who are expert into finance, we have engineers, we have computer engineers, we have researchers. So everyone is basically focusing on one single area. And then when we were growing, we think, why don't we need someone who can basically lead all these vertical resources? And then we create a new set of theory or new set of degree, which is MBA. And here everything. So marketing, finance, the business communication, economics, sales. You got to know everything. So you are someone who knows everything, but you don't know how to do anything. So in this scenario, right now, what organizations are demanding are T-shaped employees who are actually, if you look into it here, who are basically expert in one area, but they know the whole business domain. So you can say a T-shaped employee, or you can say jack of all and master of one. But as we entered into the new era, as we entered into a new decade, where we are focusing on digital transformation, where we are focusing on customer preferences, where we are focusing on how to launch a product in a minimum time, get value out of it, and then actually perish it. You can see now we have phones. Say if you are using iPhone, so technically the life of an iPhone is 1 year, because next year you have a new model. So when you're talking about the car industry, initially the product life cycle of a car was 8 years. Now it's 4 years, and within 4 years we have one or two facelift options. So what organizations are struggling with? They are struggling with customer preferences. Now we have lots of options. Now customer has choices. So who is going to win in this hyper competitive market? One who can conceive the idea and actually deliver it and make it profitable. So in this scenario, somehow with the automation of AI, we don't need lots of call center agents. We are going to replace our salespeople. We are going to replace our marketing teams. We are going to replace our lawyers. We are going to replace our finance people. So if we are going to replace each of them one by one, then what they will do? Are you going to go down and learn technology and do the coding, or you want to go up and lead a department, lead a product, and become a CEO of a next successful product? Another interesting fact that when I was reading the overall context, traditionally the lifespan of an organization, which was, let's say the product life is 10 years, 12 years, now reduced to 1 or 2 years. Same way, the organization lives, which were supposed to be 40, 50 years, now it is going to be like 10, 12 years. And previously, the head of the organization, the CEO of an organization was supposed to be there for say 10 years, 20 years. Now the time period of CEO is also reducing. So now you have a choice that how you are going to polish yourself and lead the next generation of product or an organization. So in this scenario, what are the key skills for the future CEO? Number one, if you look at the data from Harvard itself, and if you look at the people who are selected as 100 influential CEOs of the world, you will find it out that there are very few, and I'm saying it again, there are very few who are MBAs, and those who are MBAs are not from elite, you can say universities. So what sets them apart? Traditionally, till now, we are looking for somebody who has experience of or who has knowledge of, you can say, marketing, finance, IT, supply chain. That's good, but that's the functional domain. But when you are supposed to lead, these functional domains are not enough now. As a CEO, you need to master 6 different key skills. The first skill that you need to polish and you need to work is strategy. Strategy is the key thing, and you should start from strategy. What is a strategy? When I look at strategy and gone through with thousands of literature, either in the form of books or media reports or articles or journals and all, what I find out is, for strategy, if I have to replace it with one word, and I'm very fond of replacing or making things simple. For us, strategy means winning. So here you have 2 things. Do you have winning mindset? Number 1. Number 2, can you sense what is winning for you and for your organization in future? So you need to, adopt, learn, master strategic thinking. You need to see how you become a strategy expert. You need to see what is going to happen in future. Of course, you don't have crystal ball to find out that what is going to happen, but you need to build this sensing skills, which is a crucial part of a strategy. Number 1. Number 2, it's not just that you are talking about 1 and 2 areas. And you are looking after your competitors. When you talk about strategy, you have to see your product, what is the market size of a product, or if it is a new product, how you can create the demand for your market. Then another important factor is, do you really want to create a new product, or somehow you can reposition your old product to a new market? Then importantly, you have to see that innovation is not always the answer for strategy. How you can compete with your specific processes, or how you can compete with your specific quality product. So here your strategy is going to play a very important role when you are forecasting the future and you are seeing and defining the terms for competition. Then you are going to lead in a big way. So that's the one thing. Second thing in this scenario is design thinking. Last year in 2019, Gartner basically published a report, and they said that the future CEOs, the number one interpersonal skill of future CEOs should be design thinking. Here, as a CEO, how you are going to let your team to focus your product or your service from user perspective rather than the you can say from the perspective of a product. As we are into project management and program management area, we used to market program and we talk about PGMP certification and all. And if you go and find out the data, you will find out that there are 1 million PMPs in the world, but there are only 3,600 or maybe 3,800 PGMPs in the world. So you have two things: either you start going and building the market, you start going and promoting the PGMP certification and do a lot of things, or why somebody needs to do a program management. It's not another certification. This is one of the biggest issue. PGMP is not another certification. PGMP is not the next level of PMP either. PGMP is actually the way you become and lead a temporary CEO. So when you look at this thing, so we identified that people are somehow unable to go for the PGMP certification. They don't find the value out of it. So what we did is we actually decoupled the concepts from program management and made it 6 different skills that I'm going to discuss right now, so that whoever wants to become a CEO, initially you are going to become a temporary CEO and then you can become a permanent CEO. So in this way, design thinking for us is to focus leadership for middle managers and train them into these 6 skills. So this is the same thing. You can see the product not from the product perspective but from the customer perspective. So this is where you are going to create a winning product and services for your market. Then the third thing, and that I find out is very, very missing in the overall scenario, is how you are going to measure your performance, your organization performance, your product performance. So as a leader, as a CEO, you need to focus on the right metrics and KPIs. So if you are not focusing on the right metrics and KPIs, so probably you are getting results, but these results are not going to give you the value that you want to look at. So maybe we think that we want to go for the ABC product, or maybe we think that there are a lot of people who want this thing. But if our metrics, if our KPIs are not aligned with our strategy, if they are not aligned with our future market, so whatever we are measuring has no value. They don't have any value out of it. Then the fourth area, and this is very crucial, that somehow when you look at the concept of any product, when you look at the concept of any service, when you go into the market, you go with some strategy, you go with some product, but you don't know how people will react, how they are going to behave, how they are going to perceive your product. Then you need to focus on change management. And this change does not come from only one area. So that you can say this change is coming from customer, or this change is coming from environment. Right now there are a lot of pressures going on: globalization, global market factors, local context, lots of government new regulations. And these all are forcing you to see things from different perspective. Like right now, we are talking about that how we align our courses with the new paradigm shift of PMI, and we need to also see that new taxes and new government regulation and some of the the universities offering. Do we really still matter for the market, or we need to change things? So here the key area is you need to focus on your environment, and that environment as referred is VUCA environment: volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. So as a CEO, as a leader of your organization, or to be very honest, and initially as a leader of your product or service, you need to see how you apply the processes to lead in a, or to change lead in a VUCA environment. So the fourth key skill is basically how you are navigating change. But it's not just the change, it's the change in a VUCA environment. And generally, when I describe it, I used to say, right now we need reflective practitioners. This is the concept that I learned from Oxford, and they say a reflective practitioner or reflective leader is someone who does not have the right answer of the problem. So rather than go and find the answer, the leader go and find the right question. Because generally when we see the problem that we can face in our day-to-day operation and in a journey of a job, we may classify into three different types of problems. So we may have critical problems, like we can go and solve it down there because we have the solution for it, somebody knows it, engineers are there, technical people are there, and they know how to solve these critical problems. Then we have tame problems, and we can streamline our processes to solve the tame problems. But now, in a world where we are living right now, has more and more wicked problem, and the solution of wicked problem does not exist. So as a leader, as a CEO, as a manager, we need to solve wicked problems. So reflective practitioners are those practitioners who can actually solve wicked problems in a VUCA environment. And if you want to grow, if you want to become a CEO, if you want to become a global CEO, then the right sentence for you is, so you are going to be a reflective leader who can solve wicked problems in a VUCA environment. So if you can do this, then you can claim yourself be a global leader. Then the fifth skill that you need to focus on, and I'm myself focusing on it a lot, is negotiation skill. So negotiation is how you are capturing the value of your organization, how you are capturing the value for your products and services, how you are going to achieve your strategy is by doing the negotiation. And when you are doing negotiation, you need to see, sometimes you are dealing with some emotions, sometimes you are dealing with someone's beliefs, sometimes you are dealing in a specific culture, sometimes you have to negotiate with negotiators. So how you are actually negotiating in those circumstances? If you can actually identify what is the problem, but this is one thing, what is the situation, this is one thing, but who is going to be the other side, what is the win-win for you and them, and how you can decouple the power and the hidden agenda from the problem or the situation that you are in and that you want to negotiate. And finally, the last and the key skill that you need to master is decision making. You see, one of my favorite quotes is from Tony Robbins, and Tony says that wherever you are right now in your life and where you are not right now is just because of those decisions that you make and the decision that you didn't make. So decision making is a very, very important skill. And most of the time, when I was researching about decision making and when I was practicing about decision making, I find it out that decision making actually depends most of the time are biases. So we are already biased towards some conclusion, we are already biased towards some person, we are already biased towards some numbers. And when we make decisions, we are not making decisions based on the value, we are making decisions to basically confirm that what we have and what we already know. So when we talk about decision making, first of all we have to de-bias our biases, number one. Number two, It's not necessary that when you are going to make a decision, you all have the data. Sometimes you may have data. So how you are using that data, and you are basically decoupling the confirmation bias and then making a decision. And lots of time you don't have data and you need to use your intuition. And especially, if you have to use your intuition in a time sensitive environment, then what would be your strategy to make a decision? And when you are going to lead an organization, you are not the one who is going to make a decision as an individual. Sometimes you need to see how whole organization are reacting, what is the culture of decision making, and then you are cooperating and collaborating with all of them and then making a decision. So in this scenario, your key skill is to lead from the front and see where you can get the input from all and make decision, or where you can actually ask them to make a decision in a more political way. But most of the time when you say voting and making a decision is not right the way. And how you are basically separating the noises, separating the biases, separating the group of people who are favoring one thing and getting the result out of it is your key skill. So at the end of this today's video, if you want to lead your organization, if you want to grow as a CEO, you need to master these 6 skills. And these are somehow not being taught in your MBAs, in your universities. And some of you are PMP, some of you are managers, some of you are technical people, some of you are engineers, researchers. The biggest problem we have is, I can call all of you as more of a technical expert, more of a background from engineering mindset. So your engineering mindsets allows you to see things from A plus B equals to C. But when you go and lead from the front, there is no A plus B equals to C. You have to make your own equation and lead it, because you want to win at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed the whole video and the concepts. In the whole year, I will be discussing about each skill and seeing and sharing you the insights and research that I got throughout the journey. Thank you. See you next time.